Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Talking Real Estate to your Champions Real Estate team at Berkshire Hathaway Home Service Ambassador Real Estate Company. My name is Mark Wehner II, team leader at Champions Real Estate team. So every Wednesday we jump on here and get a rundown of what's gone on in the real estate market over the last 7 days. Keep you informed on what's going on, all that kind of fun stuff. So usually we start out with quick tips. Our quick tip for this week is credit scores. So I know now is the time of year people are start thinking, well, do we want to buy a house next spring? Kind of getting that ball rolling. Well, that's a great thing. Just get that ball rolling as soon as you can. One of those things to take account of is all the big pieces of the puzzle come together is this credit score. So what's that going to affect? Basically, your purchasing power, i.e., what you're able to get on an interest rate. So right now, interest rates are kind of around that 6%. Saw some with a 780 credit score, 20% down is about 5.875. And then depending on what your credit score is, that may get up to the sixes. 6.25, depending on. So there's that kind of range that we see here as real estate agents. I get emails all the time from lenders and banks and saying, hey, here's what our rates are this week, or here's what the current rates are. But that's all predicated on what your credit score is. So, when we sit down and meet with our potential buyers that are thinking about buying a house in the next near future, that's something they talk about with the lender. Where's your credit score at? Is there ways to improve that? Those things can't change overnight. So it takes some time. Maybe got to pay off some debts. All that kind of fun stuff. So those are things you just really want to take an account of, is pay attention to what your credit score is, and then being able to work with that to potentially get that credit score up. And ways you can do that. We're happy to sit down and chat with you. Give us a holler here at Chambers Real Estate Team. We can put you in connection with some of those resources that can really help you out in that credit score aspect of it. So so let's take a look at what's gone on in the real estate market over the last 7 days. Let me pull up here. Oh, there we go. Over the last 7 days. So we've had 572 new listings go live in the last 7 days, 376 new contracts. So homes go under contract in the last 7 days. And we have 445, happy new homeowners in that regards. So what does that 572 represent? Last week we were just at, what were we at last week? We were at 607. 611 the week prior to that, 622. So we dropped down a little bit as far as the number of new homes coming on the market. Our new contracts written are basically right around that 370, 350 ballpark. So we're seeing a pretty steady, influx of houses coming in, coming off the market. What this has done ultimately, obviously we are not going one for one, which what we were doing in the summer spring markets, has raised our month supply of inventory. So let's take a look at the 30,000 foot view. And what does that months of inventory mean to you? Ultimately, right now we are at 4.9 month supply of inventory based off the data. So what that means is if we had no more houses come on the market, based off the number of houses going off the market, on the market, we would essentially have about 5 months supply of inventory basically before we run out of all the homes that are on the market is what that kind of means. So put that in perspective, 0 to 3 months is about a seller's market. 3 to 6 months is a neutral market where it's kind of a healthy market. And then 6 and above, would be essentially a buyer's market. So when I first got in the business 16 years ago, we had about 5,500 homes just in the Omaha MLS, which you can see here. We have 3,500 in the Omaha and Lincoln MLS. So ultimately, we have significantly fewer homes on the market than we did 16 years ago. And what does that mean to you? Means, right now we're in a more healthy market. You're not seeing a huge amount of multiple offers. There's still, a good chunk of buyers in the buyer pool, ultimately being in an election cycle. So this would be my 4th election cycle here with the presidential election going on. So some people just wait on the sidelines a little bit. Good, bad, and different. Ultimately the housing market is going to keep plugging along. I think it's a hot button item, in the presidential elections on what each candidate's going to be doing with the housing. And ultimately we don't know, until what the election results are and who's going to be in the presidency. But that necessarily doesn't change a whole lot of what's going on in the real estate market. But so looking here, we have 3,500 homes on the market. Douglas, Sarpy County, kind of the Omaha metro area, just over 2,000 homes on the market. And existing homes, we have 1,023. New constructions broke over that 1,000 ballpark or 1,000 marker at 1,007. And then we just kind of touched about those other 2 data points. So, like I said, it's still a good, healthy market. If you're thinking about selling your home, the most important thing on that is make sure that it is, is ready to rock and roll, because ultimately you're having a little more competition, a little more houses on the market. You're not the only house in the neighborhood, on the market in most cases, maybe a couple others. So you got to pay attention to what's going on in your specific neighborhood, and we always kind of talk about, do you want to be the bridesmaid or you want to be the bride? It's kind of one of the things I talk about. If you're going to have people comparing your house and going, well, this house is priced here, but this one's here. I like this one for this price. And so you're going to have to know what your competition is, have a playbook to know exactly what you're going about when you're listing that home. That's the thing we talk about here at Champions Real Estate Team, is get you a playbook, know what's going on, know your competition, know what the buyers are in your buyer pool, and what are they looking for when they're buying a house. From getting your house on the market and things of that sort. So that's, the most important thing is get that house ready, and ready to rock and roll. And what are the buyers thinking out there? And that's all stuff that we talk about with you. We sit down to a listing presentation, marketing presentation of getting that house ready to rock and roll for you. But I'm trying to think of anything else. So ultimately, interest rates, like I said, interest rates are kind of steady where they're at right now, kind of around that 6% ballpark. Like I said in my quick tip, depending on what your what's your credit score, those type of things that play into factor there. So so if you have questions, comments, love to connect with you. Give me a holler, 402-672-7670. Check out our website at championsrealestateteam.com. We got that revamped about a month or a couple months ago here. If you have any questions on that, our buyer packet, our seller packet, those are on there, just clickable links. That'll take you over to our Google Docs. That's free. You can download that. Kind of get you a good idea what's going on, what to get ready for when you're buying a house, selling a house, and then ultimately give us a holler, schedule a time that we can sit down with you and get a real good game plan for you on what's going on in the marketplace and in your specific area. Narrow it down to the street. Like I said, that that 30,000 foot view graphic that I had with the 3,500 homes. We'll break that down into your neighborhood. We can show the showing activity in there. What price points are having the most showings in there? Because if you're kind of teetering between, should we list it here? Should we list it here? Well, here's what the data is showing us, and we're data driven, and ultimately what the buyers are doing, because ultimately the buyers are going to determine that market. So we got to interpret that market as real estate agents, and ultimately the buyer is going to tell us what they feel it's worth out there. So when I'm working with my buyers, we're doing that same type of education standpoint of it. What is each house? What's the market out there doing? And if we're looking at a couple homes and you see, this house is at 500, this one's at 475, 425, and you can kind of get a good gauge on what's out there. And then ultimately, from a seller's perspective, are you going to be the bridesmaid or the bride? Are people just going to be comparing your house, using your house as a comparable, and not actually getting married? And you're stuck on the sidelines. So, but those are all things that we want to chat with you about, so you have a good idea of what's going on in the buyer pool, in the seller pool, and make sure we maximize your experience when you're buying or selling a home. So awesome. We'll love to chat with you. Give me a holler, 672-7670. And we'll catch everybody next week and enjoy the nice weather out there. It's getting in that fall weather, a little crisp this morning. So that's awesome.